Hello, I'm Panos Kotsathanasis, and this is Asian Movie Pulse interviews. Today I'm here with Bhargav Saikia, director of Bokshi, which is having its international premiere in Rotterdam. How are you, Bhargav?
I'm great. Thank you so much, Panos, for doing this interview with me. And actually, we're having the world premiere at
Ah,
Rotterdam.
so it's a world premiere. Okay, great, great. Okay, okay. Since you mentioned it, how do you feel for having premiere in such a prestigious festival?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting, my debut feature film to land and get launched in such a prestigious event. Uh, yeah, so it's been a very pleasant surprise for me as a filmmaker. And I'm just very thankful to IFFR for giving the film this kind of a launch.
Okay, great, great. So tell me a bit about how did the production proceed for the movie? You are shooting in the Himalayas, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right, correct.
So can you, yeah.
Yeah, so we actually shot major portions of the film. It's shot in the state of Sikkim, which is in northeast India.
Mm-hmm,
So I'm also a northeasterner. I come from the state of Assam. Uh, so yeah, we so initially when I was thinking about the film and what kind of story I want to say through the genres of horror and fantasy, I had this particular expedition in mind, which I had gone on as as a student when I was studying in boarding school. So when I met the writer of the film, whose name is Harsh Vaibhav, uh, I described, some experiences I had during that trip, which were, filled with dread and a lot of eeriness. So basically, this was when I was in grade seven, a long time back. So we had camped next to a river, and there was a cremation ground right next to our campsite. And during the same trip, a group of students had got lost, while trekking. So this particular trip kind of remained with me for a very long time. And just and me being this big fan of horror films and horror books since I was very little. This when we went on this trip and these kind of things happened, it became even more dramatic for me. So I was in the back of my mind, I was enjoying this particular experience of fear during this trip. So I wanted to, I always had this in mind, one day I would go on to make a film. I mean, kind of loosely getting inspired by those incidents in that trip. So when I met the writer, Harsh, by mistake, I told him that this particular trip happened in the state of Sikkim. And in actual, it was in Arunachal Pradesh. It was actually a slip of my memory. I had forgotten the exact location back then when I met Harsh. So we ended up going to Sikkim, and we explored their folklore, their myths, and just their culture and traditions. And that's how Bokshi came into being. So had I told Harsh that my trip actually had happened in Arunachal Pradesh, Bokshi wouldn't have been Bokshi. It would have been a different film. So yeah, that's how the film setting came into being, and it was a difficult film to shoot because, firstly, it's a long film, a relatively long film. It's more than 2.5 hours long, and we shot for approximately 80 days, and that too in actual forests, in dense forests of Sikkim, which is the sub-Himalayan region of our country. Yeah, and we shot in peak winter, so it was quite difficult, not only for the crew, especially for the actors. We had a lot of night shoots, and yeah, although it was an independent production, it was the scope of production was extremely ambitious. On an average, we had more than 100 people on set every day. But thanks to the locals of Sikkim, and of course the government of Sikkim, they extended a lot of help to us, and we managed to pull it off. Yeah, it was difficult, but it was challenging and very satisfying to complete the shoot and complete the film.
Since it sounds so complicated, how did the funding for the film work? Is it an expensive film? I'm not sure, to tell you the truth.
Does it look like? I mean, you've
It,
seen the
it
film.
looks it looks expensive. It's long, has a lot of outside shots, so yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, majority of the film is outdoors, in like I said, in real locations. And apart from the forests, we have certain heritage bungalows, which are featured in the film, which could be more than 100 years old. So coming to your question, this is a completely personally funded film. I'm the sole producer on the film, and thanks to my family who have really believed in what I wanted to do and what the film, what I could achieve as a director through this film. So it's only because of my family who actually sacrificed a lot, for me to complete this film because, like I said, the production was difficult and we did run into issues of, running out of money, and there were a lot of like budgetary constraints, because of which we had to break the schedule into three parts. And between the first schedule, which was approximately for 35 days, we had to wait 1 year to come back and, like shoot the remaining bits. There were two reasons. One was because we needed to, like raise more funds to complete the shoot. And because we are shooting in winters, we had to come back and shoot during the same season to maintain the look of the film.
Hmm.
So yeah, so this is a first personally funded film, and Bokshi is a film which I would like to call a true blue indie fantasy horror from India. So there is absolutely no studio backing, not even like a small company which has backed us, and it's basically a bunch of debut making, like film professionals who have got together to attempt something like I guess big. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
right.
And tell me, what does the title mean? It's something of mythology. What is it about exactly?
Bokshi is actually a Nepali word, which literally translates to witch.
Uh-huh.
Right. And the film is in four languages. Why the title is in Nepali? Because the film is set in Sikkim, which is a Nepali-speaking state of India, and the film is in primarily in Hindi and English, some bits in Nepali, and we have created a new language for the film, which we are calling Bokshirit, which is the language of Bokshi.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. And
Right.
tell me a bit. The film also deals a bit with racism. I see, like in one of the first scenes, the protagonist's grandmother talks about her mother's tribe, and she says they all
Correct.
deal with black magic. Is there an actual thing that is happening?
Yeah, this is again like this is like very, I mean, if not very common, it's we do hear, like the like because of ignorance, and it's just that India is so complex, right, in terms of its cultural diversity, and there are so many different kinds of people and what they believe in. So what the grandmother says in the initial portion of the film, it is very much a reality, which we do hear in everyday life in India.
Hmm. And
Right.
and tell me a bit. I found it a bit even funny the fact that while in the forest, all the women seem very courageous and willing to do things, while the men are cowards. Essentially, they are afraid of everything. Why did you choose to portray it like that?
Right. I mean, like Bokshi is firstly it has a strong undercurrent of feminism.
Hmm.
I mean, we are talking about, although the film is witch, if you translate the title in English, and but what we're trying to do through the film is subvert the idea of the negative idea of the witch. It's a film about female empowerment. Uh, but what you're saying is, I mean, of course, that is true. Uh, uh, what we wanted to show was there's I mean through at least some of the male characters in the film, there could be a fake portrayal of patriarchy, uh, sorry, not a fake, sorry, I'd like to take back my words, not a fake portrayal of patriarchy, the idea of patriarchy runs deep in our
Hmm.
society, right? We see that very prominently in India,
Hmm.
in various parts of our country. And there could be like people like males, like even like say even me or the various other people who are males. They might have a fake sense of being like supportive towards women. So we wanted to break that idea. Like, so if you look at the male teacher who is called Avinash in the film, you can see that he puts up that act. But in actual, that deep sense of patriarchy is like deep down within him. It's deeply seated within him. So yeah, I mean that was the reason. But what we didn't want to do, me and the writer, what we didn't want to do is like, we didn't want the film to come across as a film which does male bashing. So we wanted to have also there the point of view of the males, what what why they're behaving like that, what they also think from the other point of view. So we have kind of tried to balance that. And of course, it's not like we have portrayed all the males as, like cowards or being
Mm,
patriarchal. There are other male characters in the film who are, like very respectful, and not just for the sake of it. I mean, they are sincerely respectful towards the females. I
Okay.
hope that answers the question. Yeah.
Yes, yes, of course, of course. And tell me a bit, the last part of the film with all the rituals, you changed like the whole cinematic approach, let's say, completely. So how did you shoot that film? What was your approach in general?
Regarding the filming,
Yes, yes, of the
okay,
last part.
right. Uh, so the idea was, I mean, Bokshi's firstly a slow burn horror film. Things take time to build up, and how we have a labyrinth in the film. So the idea was to take the audience through like a labyrinthine narrative, and at the end put them, at this spot in the film where there is absolute chaos, and there is mayhem. So that is how the climax also plays out in the film. And in terms of filming, it was a very difficult, firstly, location to, find, because possibly other productions, like, I mean, if they had more budgets, they would probably shoot that the last 20 minutes of the film in a studio, I
Mm,
guess.
hmm.
But we were lucky. We got very lucky when we were doing our location recce. We found this. So the location is actually a playground. You won't believe it, but
Oh.
it's a playground which belongs to a local school
Uh-huh.
uh, in the forest block where we shot some parts of the film. It's and this playground is kind of located. So if you have the road, it's kind of almost at the base of the that particular hill.
Uh-huh.
And we were fortunate that this particular ground was surrounded by dense foliage. So we haven't done any kind of VFX, to create kind of the surrounding environment in terms of the trees and plants. So what you see was actually present in the location. And of course, we constructed the labyrinth there, and we used some like little VFX here and there to achieve what you see in the film. Yeah, but yeah, so the climax was a very interesting part of the film, and I wanted the audience to, with the previous events which happened during the the course of the film, when they reach the climax, I wanted the audience to have this kind of very dense feeling, and a feeling as if where they have landed now in terms of the world of film, the world of Bokshi, it's kind of an inescapable, moment. In that particular moment is kind of they cannot like go away. Like say for example, if you're watching this film in a cinema, it's like you are there now. You as an audience member now. What you will see, what how we reveal the titular character, and how the other character who are witches, what's happening with them. Like it's like the audience is trapped in that world. So and yeah, and in terms of even the choice of colors, uh, I wanted to use this stark red color to give that feel of yeah, like just being there, and like kind of being trapped in this fictional, but at the same time fictional, fantastical, but at the same time a world which is believable, which could probably exist in our everyday world.
Okay,
Right.
okay. And was that the most difficult scene to shoot, would you say, or something
No,
else?
actually not. So as a director, I think I'm more comfortable shooting creepy scenes, and like creepy scenes and scenes which are provocative and disturbing. I'm kind of at my absolute comfort zone doing those kind of scenes. what I probably, I mean, this is my first feature. I hope I will grow as a filmmaker and get better at my craft. What I like, I mean, and I'm aware of my weaknesses as a filmmaker. What I possibly struggle a bit is, like when there are certain kind of like, say, like a very demanding emotional scene between two characters or so. But when it comes to portraying, like dark events or just being like yeah, like unsettling things in a narrative, I'm very comfortable, and I feel like I'm in a kid in a candy store at
Uh-huh.
that time. Right. Yeah.
Okay, good, good.
Right.
Okay, and tell me a bit, how did the casting work for the film?
Yeah, so it's a huge cast. There are, I think, around at least 14 characters in the main ensemble. So it's a mix of like actors from Mumbai, and we had a lot of Nepali speaking actors from the region where we shot the film in. And we actually like our pre-production was happening during the pandemic in the year 2021 during the first wave of COVID. So it was difficult, and like the casting director I had on board. I mean, I actually met her for the first time just last week during the cast and crew
Oh.
screening. It was all done remotely through Zoom or Google Meet, but and they had to like audition so many actors from different parts of the country, like in terms of the lead actors, we have someone called Mansi Multani and Prasanna Bisht. So she plays Anahita, the young girl, whose actually journey we follow in the film. So she was cast through auditions. She's from this place called Uttarakhand, which is a hill state in northern India. uh, she was, yeah. So there we had done a lot of auditions for this character, but she stood out with her strong performance there. And Bokshi was meant to be her debut film as an actor, but because we took time to shoot the film, so she ended up doing a Bollywood film in between. And so that became her debut. But I guess it's good for Bokshi now because possibly we'll get a little more visibility, because she's slowly becoming more known in the industry. And Mansi's casting, who plays the teacher Shalini, that was very interesting actually. So when I had cast Mansi myself. I didn't have a casting director on board during that time. Uh, so I had another actor in mind to play Shalini. But then I was watching this web series called A Suitable Boy, which is on Netflix, produced by BBC and directed by Meera Nair. So Mansi's in that series in a couple of episodes. So as soon as like she came on screen, my eyes got stuck to her, and I was like, "This is the woman who has to play this role." And because Shalini's character has, I mean, she's a dark character, right? Like, and she's into a lot of, like she does a lot of things which are not common for a character to do on screen. So yeah, like I think it was the very first impression of me just seeing her on screen. So I immediately messaged her on Instagram, and she was most kind enough to respond back to me. And she read the script, and she instantly had this connect with the character about the character and the narrative. And she was on board just like that. I mean, I didn't even audition her because I didn't feel the need to. Sometimes it happens, right? When you even in like normal life, when you meet someone, you instantly connect with that person. The synergy is beautiful. So it was that kind of a connect between me and Mansi.
Hmm.
And the other characters, again, many of them are making their debut with Bokshi. And we also have a few non-actors, especially from Sikkim and Darjeeling, who came on board. And yeah, so it was, I think it's quite a diverse ensemble we have in the film,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
was an adventure because for me also as a first time director, it was slightly complicated to handle so many actors at the same time. And there are scenes where everyone is in a particular shot or a scene at the same time.
Hmm.
But everyone was very well prepared, and like all the actors were very excited about what we were trying to achieve with the film.
Hmm. Hmm. And
Right.
also, you chose to shoot in 4:3 ratio. Why
Right.
that?
Yeah. So the film is a mix of 185 and 133, which is the square aspect ratio. So I wanted, I mean, the film begins as you've seen the film. The film actually begins in the wider aspect ratio, but there is a very particular point where we cut to the square abruptly.
Hmm.
So because the film is a coming of age journey of our protagonist Anahita, uh, and we see this character as someone who has a lot of suppressed energy within her. She has a childhood trauma, because of which she's the person who we see as in the film. So I wanted the square, the more kind of like to give that feeling of claustrophobia, and just go with her, just follow her journey in that sense. And of course, like when she eventually overcomes her trauma in the narrative, we see that even the aspect ratio becomes wider. So it was more of it was a thematic choice,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Okay, all right, all right. And tell me a bit, how is the situation in the particular Indian movie industry at the moment? So, would you call the film Nepali, Assamese, or how would you define it? Okay, that's for the critics, I guess, but what's your
Right.
opinion?
I mean, firstly, it's not an Assamese film. I'm an Assamese director.
Uh-huh, okay.
I come from Assam, and but I would like to call this production as a production out of Mumbai. I mean, because my company is based here, and majority of our crew is from Mumbai. And like I mentioned, the film is primarily in Hindi and English. So I would like the audience and everyone to consider the film firstly as an independent film. Uh, and but maybe not as an art house film. I think it's
Hmm.
not exactly a art house film. Possibly even the limited number of people who have seen the film, majority of them have said that this film kind of it's kind of somewhere between being an art house film and a more mainstream film. So yeah, which I agree actually. So yeah, I mean. Like I would want people to watch it as a as an entertaining film, as an entertaining horror film, which is not a typically generic horror film, but a horror film with a larger meaning, which actually has highlights themes which are socially relevant.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right.
And how is the independent movie industry in India, let's say, at the moment? How would you describe it?
See, like in India, it's pretty, I mean, for the independent films here, it's quite grim at the moment as far as, releasing the films are concerned. Like I'm sure you are aware of so many, prominent indies from India which have gone on to screen at some of the top festivals like Cannes, Venice, Berlin, and of course Rotterdam. But we don't have outlets for release, and we don't have distributors or like producers who would come on board to actually aid in the release of the films. So and I'm very concerned about this particular thing for my film because like so many other filmmakers here and it's like and like like the independent films which you mostly hear about which go on to screen at prominent festivals, but there are so many other indie films which are being made from every corner in every corner of the country, which like probably play at smaller fests, but they just become festival films because there is no release outlet.
Hmm.
And so initially, when the streaming players came into India, like say Netflix or Amazon Prime, they were initially supportive towards the indie voices, but now we are seeing them also like going the Bollywood way, or like say the more mainstream cinema from the South or elsewhere. So so this is a matter of huge concern, and And some of our well-known filmmakers, they have been talking. There has been dialogue amongst them how to overcome this problem, but there hasn't been much change as of now. Uh, I mean, even last year, when one of the most well-known films, not only in India, globally, All We Imagine Is Light, when it had a theatrical release in India, uh, it did run for, I think, 2, 3 weeks, but not too many people went to watch the film, which is very sad because it's a brilliant film and it's one of the most celebrated films globally, right, of 2024. So we need to, I mean, there is no culture of watching, so-called non-mainstream films in our country. So possibly through, film education, film clubs, through film festivals, we need to build this culture so that the so-called parallel cinema, which exists in India, simultaneously with the more commercial films here, there needs to be more awareness amongst the people. Because honestly, the audience is hungry for, good film, for good content. And especially during the pandemic, a lot of people got exposed to, because of the OTTs, because of the streaming platforms. They have been exposed to a lot of content from the West, like even non-English language, films and web series. And there is now a growing culture of watching films or series with subtitles. So yeah, I think I mean, of course, I would like to be positive and optimistic about the future of independent cinema in India, but the present situation is quite grim. And even for me personally, because I'm also the producer on the film, I would, I my app like after Rotterdam, my primary goal is to push Bokshi for a release either through theatrically or through OTT platform as soon as possible. I don't want the film to linger on, either in the festival circuit or just screening, just here and there for too long, because there's also this issue of films getting this tag of festival film in India. Because when that happens, the press or even like people, they think it's a very serious film, so we wouldn't want to, spend money to go and watch in theaters or online. So there is this issue, and it's I mean it's actually because of lack of awareness. But I guess, with younger filmmakers and the veteran filmmakers who have made independent films in the past, with all of us, coming together and having more progressive film producers and distributors, this particular aspect will change in hopefully in the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah,
Okay,
right.
okay. And the last question, I guess, after this film, do you have any plans for a new one, or are you solely focusing on this one yet? I guess it's
No,
early.
no, I already have at least one script which is almost ready, which I'm developing with my writer of Bokshi, with Harsh. So that is a horror comedy, which is more in the Bollywood, zone. So it has songs and it's more like peppy. If I, for lack of a term, it's more peppy, and because horror comedies are very popular in India currently, they're making huge money at the box office. So we want to, be in this. It's a good time to make horror and horror comedy in India. So we want to, take advantage of this really good time which is happening for genre filmmakers in our country. So we have a horror comedy ready, and I would also like to explore long format in terms of making a web series. So there is an idea which I'm developing. Yeah, so I mean that's in very early stages, but my immediate project would be the horror comedy.
Hmm. Okay.
Right.
Well, I guess that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Panos. Thank you so much.